But before we do that, do we have time for a little game, maybe?
Yeah. Let's try it. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, we can absolutely do it.
Let's do it.
This one was a fan favorite. I like making them. It's fun to put these together. I had a couple real chuckles. This one is called, well, let's just play the jingle.
It's beginning to look a lot like
Easter? That's it. We've got more. We've got 10 more.
I love these
questions. Let me pull up my questions here.
Oh my gosh. This is one of my favorite games on a podcast ever.
And I have to say, Chris, these questions were hard.
Yeah,
they were hard.
Yeah, well, yes. Your questions were harder. I don't know if they were harder, but you definitely didn't do very good. But it's fine.
Good for the game, though. Good for the game.
That's amazing.
All right. So if you don't know, the way this one works is before we recorded, I emailed Danny and Eric a series of questions, and the answer to those questions are keywords in popular Christmas songs. So we're going to find out together how well they did, starting with, let's do one of Eric's. I asked Eric, what 1998 Cher song was rated number 60 on VH1's list of greatest dance songs, while also being ranked number 10 on Rolling Stone's list of most annoying songs? And for the answer to this one, let's see what Josh Groban says.
Believe in what you feel inside and give your dreams the wings to fly. You have everything you need if you just...
This is the night for dancing. We're gonna feel alive tonight.
So that one was wrong.
Oh my gosh.
Believe in life after love. I was close. I knew generally what the song was. I could picture it, but I definitely did not say believe.
Oh, that was so good. I love this game so much.
Oh, wow.
All right, let's do one for Danny. During the winter months, droughts, or when grazing isn't an option, what food is given to livestock? And I will say that Danny sang all of his answers.
I mean, of course.
For this one, let's see what Nat King Cole says.
The stars in the sky look down where he lay. The little Lord Jesus asleep on the...
Hey! Oh my gosh. You know why I knew the answer to that one? Because they were just talking about that on Yellowstone.
They were. They're gonna have to hay the
cattle. Exactly. So, not only do you get to see this beautiful landscape of Montana watching Yellowstone, but you get educated, and you never know what game show you might be on.
Livestock.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
Oh, that's amazing.
This one I asked Eric. Edmund Gwynn is the only actor to have won an Academy Award for playing what character? And let's see what the Jackson 5, or let's see what Jackson 5 says.
Scrooge.
Oh my gosh.
So, hold on a second. That would be a...
I think he gets the jingle for how funny it is.
Yeah, well, we'll play that a couple more times for some of his other answers as well.
Oh my god.
All right, so the next one for Danny, I asked Danny, what slippery snake-like fish has bad eyesight and can swim backwards? Let's hear from Thurl Ravenscroft.
You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. You really are a heel. You're as cuddly as a cactus. You're as charming as an
eel.
Mr. Grinch.
Very good. Well
that
done.
Worked out pretty nicely.
Well done. That was pretty good.
It's pretty good. Let's see if we can get through one more. I asked Eric, in all of the animal kingdom, the blue whale is known to have the biggest blank. And for this answer, let's see what... One second. 1, 2, 3... Jose Feliciano says.
Ooh.
I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my
Heart.
Hey.
You got it.
There we go. I got one.
Nice.
There we go.
Love that.
So I asked Danny, what traditional holiday dessert contains, among other things, suet, dried fruits, and brandy? For this one, let's see what Bing Crosby says.
I wish you a Merry Christmas. I wish you a Merry Christmas. I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Hold on.
Bring us some
Fruit cake.
bring us some
Fruit cake.
bring us some
Fruit cake.
and bring it out here.
That's a
Oh my gosh.
on
I
that
honestly
one.
thought I nailed that one until you played the song. And then I knew I was
I looked
wrong.
it up. I looked it up afterwards. I want to make sure because they are very similar. I don't believe there's a whole lot of recipes that have suet and fruitcake though. So
I'll be completely honest with you and say I have no idea what suet is.
I have no idea.
it's a beef fat.
Oh. Naturally. That was my nickname in high school.
Beef fat?
No, suet. I just thought it was I didn't know what it meant, so I just rolled with it.
I thought it was like a cool
I was like,
dude.
"What's up?" They call me Suet. What's going down?
You mean beef fat?
All right, so here's the next one. In the environmentally conscious cartoon Captain Planet, what power did Kwame have?
Ooh.
And let's see what Stevie Wonder says.
Someday at Christmas there'll be no wars when we have learned what Christmas is for. When we have found what life's really worth, there'll be peace on.
Water.
So that's going to be another one of these.
Oh my gosh.
I was thinking of like Waterworld when the whole Earth is covered with water. That's that's what
Eric, it's very important. I need you to keep this in mind this holiday season. Dry land is not a myth. Okay,
that's
All
right.
Just keep that in mind.
So let's truck on right through to number 4 for Danny. What's the name of the fictional clergy member that's become one of Google's top searched names every December? And for this one, let's have listen to Johnny Mathis.
Gone away is the bluebird, here to stay is a new bird. He sings a love song as we go along, walking in a winter wonderland. In the meadow we can build a snowman, then pretend that he is
Parson Brown.
He'll say, are you
Very
married? We'll
good.
say, no,
There you go.
man.
That cut in nicely.
Very good.
Very good.
I tried to give it a little bit. That was like sort of my best impersonation of Eric singing crooner music.
It was great.
It was nice. It sounded great.
They say imitation is the biggest, the greatest form of flattery, right? So
That's right.
there you go. That's my gift to you this holiday season.
We have 2 more to get through. Let's see if we can do it.
Great.
This next one is for Eric. The question was, harvesting 12,300 acres annually, Illinois is top U.S. supplier of what crop? Let's have a listen to the Carpenters.
I met a man who lives in Tennessee, and he was heading for Pennsylvania and some homemade
Soy.
pie
So,
from Pennsylvania.
so no on that one.
I
Soy
thought
pie.
I was like it's not going to be corn because he already did corn for
Yeah.
this game once before, and I thought that Illinois had a lot of soy plants, but apparently, wait, you're telling me that Illinois has the most pumpkin plants?
The biggest U.S. supplier of pumpkins.
Wow!
Can you believe that? How about
I
that?
had no idea.
There you go.
I would have never guessed.
The
Never.
land of Lincoln and pumpkins.
I want them to add that to the license plate now. Get rid of the land of
Yeah,
Lincoln and just
totally.
write the land of pumpkins.
Land of pumpkins.
Here's the last one. This one was for Danny. I asked him, traditionally served with sour cream or applesauce, what's the name of the potato pancakes typically served during Hanukkah? And for this one, we're going to listen to Bare Naked Ladies.
Oh Hanukkah, come light the menorah. Let's have a party, we'll all dance the hora. Gather round the table, we'll give you a treat. Sip of
latkes.
Nice.
You did it.
I mean, that one was a little.
You did good on this one.
That was a little inside baseball for me.
You knew that one.
And that's
You
it.
knew where that one
That was the
going.
game.
That was good, Chris. Very good job.
Make
Good
some
job.
noise.
Give it up
Chris.
for Chris.
I just
Yay.
got to say
Well done.
one last time this season that Chris, I am so grateful for all that you have brought to this show, the games, the creative ideas, the editing prowess. You've just brought so much to what we're doing here on Christmas Countdown Show. So massive, huge thanks to Chris.
Oh, thanks.
Very, very grateful for you, buddy.
Yeah.
Very grateful.
Yep. Your check's in the mail.
Love it. All right, Danny, we have somebody at the door here. We have another celebrity guest that is very exciting. This is a very exciting guest for us.
Yeah,
this is a big
I'm
get.
geeking out. I'm geeking out pretty hard right now.
Everybody just stay in your seats because we have our good friend Lisa Loeb is here.
Yes.
Lisa, thank you so much for coming on Christmas Countdown Show. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you. I love to be part of the countdown to Christmas.
Yes, yes. So Lisa is talking to us, A, because she's just a great person, but B, she's featured in the new Hallmark movie Hanukkah on Rye, which premiered on the 18th and stars Jeremy Jordan and, what's the actress?
Yael Grobglas.
Yes, Gael Grobglas. That's a great name.
Yael Grobglas, yes.
Yael Grobglas. So Lisa, tell us. Grobglas. Am I saying it right?
Yeah, exactly.
So tell us, Lisa, how was the experience of shooting Hanukkah on Rye? How did you get connected? Tell us all about the experience.
Well, I appear in it. I am a smaller role in the movie, but I heard about Hallmark doing Hanukkah movies because I was talking to them about music. I make music for TV and film sometimes. So I was talking to them about that. And I threw it out to them that I have this song called Light that I wrote a few years ago about the essence of Hanukkah. It's not super religious, but it does have some of the Hanukkah traditions in it. And it's not cutesy or anything. It's more like a Simon and Garfunkel kind of song. And it's about hope, about how the oil in the menorah, the oil that was supposed to last one night, but there was a miracle and it lasted 8 nights. That's kind of like hope. There's always more hope. So I wrote a song about that. And I think maybe they had that in the back of their head because when this Hanukkah movie came up, they asked if I would appear in it and sing the song Light, as well as I was supposed to do some scenes, but because of my crazy schedule and having a family, it didn't quite exactly work out.
That's right, though. Why don't we listen to a little bit of your song Light right now, just so people can hear it, and then we'll talk a little bit about it on the other side. So, Chris, I think you're going to play a little bit of it right now. Here we go.
One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 nights celebrate our light. Light, 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 light. Candles burning bright, golden and blue, shining through the darkest night. Night, 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 night. Let the light shine. Let the light shine in the window. In the window. When you think it's almost gone, there is still hope.
That
Oh
is
my gosh.
so beautiful. I love it.
Thank
I
you.
love
One of
that.
so we have because this is our finale episode, we have our Patreon people who are big fans of our show are watching in our sort of studio audience through Zoom.
Yes.
And one of our friends,
I'm waving to them.
Jen said that she loved that part of Hanukkah on Rye and rewound it a bunch of times because she loved the song so much. So that's awesome.
Oh my gosh, I love it. On your VCR, you like rewound the videotape.
Totally.
I love that. I used to do that when I was a kid too, and I would hear something somewhere. But now, luckily, you can find the song anywhere where you find music. It was funny to me that Hanukkah was included in a countdown to Christmas, but I get it. I think they just mean the holiday season. I think Christmas is a code word for the holiday season. I've actually been studying a lot of different holidays of light because I think it's so important to find the essence of your holiday, whatever holiday that you believe in, that you like to celebrate. And that way we can share with each other. Sometimes, when we go someplace and somebody else is celebrating something we don't really know, we may feel left out, or I don't know, there's like a weird thing, but really I think all of these holidays have a beautiful essence, and it's important for us to learn about our own holidays and be able to share them with others, especially Kwanzaa. I've been studying a lot, and it's such a neat, it's such a great purposeful holiday because it was created more in modern times.
Yeah.
And it kind of covers all the bases of your family, your community. I don't know, just focus on so many different positive things that you can respect, that you can appreciate, and that you can work on in your life.
Yeah. I think it's one of the great parts about the holidays is seemingly because they're at the end of the year, there's this sense of like taking a deep breath, looking back at what the year was and looking forward. It's like one of those, moments, which is why I think people love the holidays so much, is it is a moment of reflection and a moment to pause and really think about things. Tell us, do you have any like favorite holiday memories from when you were growing up or being a mom? Like what's some like favorite holiday memories that you have from your life?
Well, I'm not supposed to have this memory because I really do celebrate Hanukkah mostly.
Yes.
And I got some really great Hanukkah gifts, like all the Brian Eno records, wonderful Barbies, this thing called Simon, beep, 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 beep.
Oh, I love that.
So we had some great Hanukkah, and we do all the classic things like make latkes. We make latkes with the family for the kids. The smell of the candles burning and the melted wax. But I have to say, we also used to get, my mom will say we did not, but we have photos of this. We used to get like Christmas stockings. And I loved the stockings, even when I got things like walnuts.
Sure.
And an orange.
Right.
Some chapstick, it's like my kids, they finally got some stockings, and they thought, wow, Santa got everything from Rite Aid. Yes.
Made a quick stop. Yeah, absolutely.
Neat how Santa got everything from CVS. I'm like, well, Santa must know that CVS is open all night. When he's trying to figure out if he's going to give Jewish children stockings also.
That's really funny. I have to say, Lisa, from my perspective, I grew up in a split household. My stepdad is Jewish, and my mom is of Christian faith. So Hanukkah has been a huge part of my life ever since I was a small child. Our whole family just got together on Sunday evening and lit the menorah for the first night of Hanukkah. And we have this really cool tradition in our family where we all will pick out our Christmas ornament, but then my mom gives it to us on the first night of Hanukkah. And that's been like our tradition for many, many years. And it's just, there's something, we talk about tradition a lot on this show. And I think one of my favorite traditions of Hanukkah is lighting the menorah and the singing of the blessing every single night. Like that song, it just, when I hear my mom singing that prayer, it just like, memories from throughout my entire life, all the way back to childhood, will flash of us standing in the living room around the menorah together. And it's just, I think, tying back to what you were talking about earlier with Hallmark Channel, is that I love that, they've really made this shift towards, everyone has a seat at the holiday table, whatever that table sort of looks like for you. And I love the inclusivity of it to show all the ways that people celebrate the holidays around the world. And so, for many reasons, that's why I'm grateful for this conversation. And obviously another big reason is Eric and I are both children of the 90s. And I will never forget how obsessed my cousin Ashley was with you in the 90s. She had to have the glasses. She would listen, it's etched in my mind of your voice singing, you say, it's so lodged in my mind from my formative teenage years. And I was like, I thought my cousin was the coolest person in the world. So I was like, well, now I'm a Lisa Loeb fan because Ashley loves Lisa Loeb. So now I love Lisa Loeb.
I love that.
So this is just very, very fun just to have you here hanging out with us and chatting about the holiday season. So that's really my long way of saying It's great to meet you.
Thank
and
you.
thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you so much. I'll give one last question for you. Tell me this, Lisa. Being somebody who, people recognize as soon as they see you, is that something that you go through life sort of like looking to sort of shy away from, or is it something that you are like, it's cool, this is who I am, and I'm glad that people like my music and remember me and like to listen to what I have to say? Like, talk to me about what that experience is like for you in your daily life.
Yeah, that's really interesting. It's funny, you mentioned I have a Sirius XM show on 90s
Yeah.
on 9, which is the 90s radio station, a daily show.
Yeah.
And I also I created a feature called Where They Are Now, where I interview people who you may have known first from the 90s, like you're saying
Yeah.
about me. You may have known me first from the 90s, but they're still doing really interesting things, putting out albums, Christmas albums, making movies, writing books, whatever they're doing. So it's an interesting balance. Like, for me, growing up in a big family, there were 4 kids in my family, and they all have a lot of friends. And I'm still friends with kids from when I was born all the way through college. I was just looking at some old photo albums. You can see some of them back there. And I remember everyone's names. And, I know a lot of people. My family knows a lot of people. We live in a great neighborhood with a lot of kind people, newer friends. So on one hand, it just feels like people that we know, because I'm lucky. A lot of my fans seem like people that I would know. They're nice, kind, interesting folks who I enjoy speaking to. So it's kind of like being at somebody's wedding all the time. It can go both ways, though, because sometimes I can be in a place and nobody knows who I am or what I do. And it's, I'm sure you've run into that on airplanes where people say, and what do you do?
Right.
Well, good luck with that. And you're like, well, I've already been on Broadway and I'm on TV all the time. But it's like a weird balance, but it makes you, I think, I would love for more and more people to be able to hear the music I make and the different things I've written or done, that I want to share with people, the stories I have to tell. But, so that, I guess that equals more fame and more, glamour or whatever.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's really nice just to be able to be regular and be at Trader Joe's and walking around,
Right.
Buying chocolate covered marshmallows.
Yes.
It's a nice level of recognition,
Yeah.
But I appreciate it.
I love
And
that.
I don't need to look for people not recognizing me because I get that plenty.
Yeah.
But it's a nice level of people knowing who you are and what you do.
I love that. Tell us before we let you go here, where can people find new music from you, stuff that you're working on, your social media stuff? Tell us all that.
Well, you can find all my music on @LisaLoeb. You can find it on Instagram. I do post quite a bit on Instagram, Twitter. And when I say I mean also my team, because I'm really busy with my family, but I work with my team. But Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of them, either at Lisa Loeb or at the official Lisa Loeb. You can find me daily on 90s on 9 at Sirius XM or on the SXM app. Just search Lisa Loeb and you can hear all these interviews with folks like Leanne Rimes, Weird Al Yankovic, the Goo Goo Dolls, all kinds of people. And then also YouTube is great. My music is everywhere. I put out a record right when COVID hit, and it's still a record that means a lot to me. It's an album called A Simple Trick to Happiness. And there's a video for almost every song on YouTube, on my official Lisa Loeb YouTube. So if you want some songs that might resonate with you during those quiet moments, where you realize, oh my gosh, what is going on in my life? Or, oh my gosh, I love my life.
Yeah.
Either of those things. You can find that on my YouTube channel. And I would love it if you checked out my music there.
I love that. Lisa, you are a gem of a person, and I'm so happy that we got to talk to you. Happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, and thank you so much for swinging by the Christmas
Thank
Countdown
you.
show.
Thanks for having me, and I'm glad that Hallmark is being more and more inclusive, hopefully, as the years continue.
Absolutely. We're all for it. Thanks, Lisa.
Thank
all right,
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
Well, that was
pretty cool,
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm interested to see, in the chat, like what's our live studio audience? What's been their reactions to this last guest, Lisa Loeb? Oh, I love that Emilio is scrolling through all of these. Welcome, Lisa. Loved her Hanukkah song. Yay! I'm so excited to see her on Hanukkah on Rye. OMG, love you. Amazing. Wow, real celebrities. I thought you guys were joking. That might be the best one. LOL, what a cutie, so sweet. That's amazing. This is so cool. I love the feedback that we're receiving from people. This is cool. This just feels, I don't know, it feels like what you and I set out to do, Eric, and that's just to create this feeling of those like favorite Christmas specials that you have over the years, and no rush, like no ticking clock, like we're just here chatting and doing our show, but also inviting friends to be a part of it. So this is I'm having a blast here today.
Me too, buddy. Do you think we have time before we go into the countdown? I have a couple good memes and things I'd love to just drop in real quick.
I thought you were about to say, do you think we have time to do the countdown?
I think we do. All right, I'm going to give you just a couple quick memes and things. Let's hear my theme song before I give these away.
Memes and things, memes and things. It's time for Eric's memes and things.
Yes. All right, so here's a couple of memes and things. This one I saw on. I'm not going to say where it was posted because they have a bad word in their title, but it's just a story that's interesting. It said and heartwarming. It says an elementary school bus driver asked every kid on his bus what they wanted for the holidays, and then he bought it for them. Here's a little picture. You can see this bus driver, like when they got on the school bus, he had presents for all the kids, which I think is just spectacular. Just so sweet.
That's great.
Okay. This I thought, well, no, I'm going to save that one to the end. Sorry. This is one from Kendra Alvey. Says, one of my 4 nephews just brought me wine and said, here's your Christmas juice. And now he's the one I'm leaving everything to.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
Which is pretty good. I like this. This was sent to us, I think, from Jennifer Jones, who is Jennifer here right now?
There she is. She's waving. I see Jennifer out there.
Yes. She sent me some options for memes and things, and so I'm going to highlight them here.
Yes.
One, I like this. This was from Grown and Flown. It says, tree is up thanks to my son, #college laundry. And it's just a stack of laundry. And then the mom just put a star on top of it because it was so perfect, which I think is just great.
Oh my gosh, that's good.
This is another one. It's just a picture of a T-Rex, and he's decorated the bottom part of the Christmas tree, but now he's looking at the star, and he says, well, crap, because he's got the tiny little T-Rex arms.
Right.
It's just so funny to me. I love that. That's good. Okay, this is good. You'll like this one, Danny.
Okay.
It says, Mary, exhausted, having just gotten Jesus to sleep, is approached by a young man who thinks to himself, what this girl needs is a drum solo.
Oh, that's good.
I thought that was pretty good. Okay. This is from Cheesecake and Crying, and it says, Santa's cool and all, but we all know Mrs. Claus has Santa's stuff all packed and the reindeer ready to go while Santa spends 45 minutes pooping right before the sleigh takes off. That was good.
Eric, can I add one in?
Yes.
Okay, so I saw this just earlier today, and I was going to send it to you, but full transparency, I forgot. This was a meme that I saw a friend of mine from high school named Sarah had posted, and it is treetops glisten and children listen to nothing. Children literally don't listen to anything, and it's just like. And I said, yeah, if there were ever a time that I felt that, it was this morning, because just my children were listening to nothing this morning. But
that's pretty funny.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. All right, here's another one. This is from Isabel Hagen _, and it says, this may be hard for some of you to stomach, but your love of Christmas music might actually be an undiscovered passion for jazz. Which I think is true. We talked about this last season. That I think one of the reasons that people love Christmas music is because the old style, like big band, Great American Songbook is not dead. People think that it's dead, but it's not. Like people still love that kind of music. Okay, just a couple more. This is pretty good. It says, you've heard of Elf on the Shelf. Now get ready for Cow on the Plow.
Oh my gosh.
I love that. Okay, this last one is not necessarily Christmas related, but it's so good that I must highlight it. It's so good. It's this person, Little Cecile 2 at Little Cecile 2. That she wrote a few Twitter posts, and I'm just going to read them to you as it progresses. Here it goes. She posted, "So I'm sat in a busy cafe reading a book with a cup of tea and a pastry, and the lady sat opposite me, engrossed in her newspaper, just took a bite of my pastry. Will update." So then people are like, oh, okay, this lady like took a bite of your food. And she said, "I've done the only thing that I could do, and I've ignored that it happened and taken a spoonful myself. And now she's pretending that it didn't happen. This is tense." And then each one of these posts is like a couple minutes later. And then it says, "She's taken another piece. WTF?" And then she said, "I'm staring at my phone like it's the only thing that exists." And then she says, "I'm going to take a bite again, and I'm going to move it closer to me." And then it says, "She beat me to it. She went for a double helping, and I swear she just slid the plate even closer to her side. She's not even blinking." And then a few minutes later, it says, "I've just looked right into her eyes and dragged the plate back to my side. It screeched all the way across the table, and she's looking at me like I'm a disease. Send help." And then a few minutes later, she says, "Nobody is touching the pastry. There's about a mouthful left on the plate, and I have a bus to catch, but out of principle, I'm not going anywhere. I need to defend my pastry's honor." And then a few minutes later, she says, "I'm going to have to leave soon. I'll grab the last piece as I go. I paid for it after all." Then she says a minute after that, she says, "I just grabbed the last piece, stuffing it all in my mouth, and said with my mouth full, 'Enjoy your coffee,' as I picked up my newspaper to leave, and there it was, my pastry. I've been eating a complete stranger's food. I was the weirdo."
Oh my gosh. That is brilliant.
How great is that? Oh, I just thought that was, while it was not super Christmas related, it brings a good laugh. So that's a good one. That's Eric's memes and things for season 2. Here we go.
Well, remember, Eric, all you have to do is just put "at Christmas" at the end of the meme, and all of a sudden it's just
at Christmas, and then it's a meme.
Boom, done.
Meme. I love that.
Oh my gosh. That was
do we have anything else we should get to before we get to our ultimate Christmas list for season 2?
Before we get to our ultimate Christmas countdown, you could argue that Hallmark Channel has had their own ultimate Christmas countdown all season long in the form of Countdown to Christmas, which we have absolutely loved. You know, all these movies, over 30 all new Christmas movies that Hallmark Channel released this season. Stories about Hanukkah, stories about inclusivity, stories about, set in the 1950s. Like, they really just ran the gamut all season long on Hallmark Channel. And the really great news is, from now until the end of the year, you can go to Hallmark Channel, and 24 hours a day, 7 days a week until the end of the year, you're going to get to watch holiday movies. They might be holiday movies from the past. It could be some of the new ones that have come out this year. And the bonus of that is, Eric, for all those people who maybe missed their movie when it aired in the fantasy league, they can go back and watch it. Like, this is the time to do that.
Absolutely.
Right?
And, as you said, Danny, Hallmark has just hit it out of the park this year with all of the films that they did, and the way that they've covered so many different genres and different stories. And, I just want to say bravo to them. And, let's take this moment to say a big, thank you to Hallmark for sponsoring our show this season. And we've loved working with them. We've loved talking to people from their movies and watching their movies and talking about it. And they have all those great products that they sent us, the wines and the cocoa bombs. It just has been a really awesome partnership working with Hallmark this season. So, from Danny and I, we want to say Merry Christmas and thank you so much to Hallmark Channel for working with us this season, and we hope that we get to do it for many years to come.
I couldn't agree more. And I know come December 26th, when we're in that void between Christmas Day and New Year's Eve, I'm going to be hunkered down. What did we say earlier? Nestled and nuzzled.
Yeah.
Nestled and nuzzled on my couch with my Hallmark Channel blanket, watching some of the great movies that they've released this year and all the years in the past. So I would encourage you guys to do the same. And if you do, take a picture of it, post it on your social media, tag us in it, tag Hallmark Channel, and we'll share some of those out on our social media between, the December 26th and December 31st, to show all the people all the great movies that you're enjoying this holiday season. So huge thank you to Hallmark. And with that, I think it's time to get to the countdown.
Here we go, folks. This is the last countdown of season 2 of the Christmas Countdown Show. And as we did last year, we're doing an ultimate Christmas list.
Yes.
So these are just like the things that we've talked about from this season that we're like, man, without this, you just can't have Christmas. You need these things. And so I'm going to start us off here at number 10. And I think this is a good one. I think this is a good place to start. And it is that, sorry, I'm pulling it up here. I know what it is, but I'm just trying to make sure. Okay, here we go. My number 10 is this podcast.
Oh.
I have loved doing this podcast with you, Danny and Chris and Emilio and all of you that listen. You know, it really has, it brings joy to my heart. It makes me feel like there is still good, hopeful, happy people in the world. And, you know, I just have loved making this season. I love that we sort of stepped up our production value game with, you know, our set, and, you know, Emilio and Chris and Danny have done amazing job with all of our social media stuff and making cool posts and stuff. So I'm basically saying thank you to you guys and thank you to all the listeners. And I have just loved doing season 2 of Christmas Countdown Show with you, Danny. So that's my number 10 thing that you have to have Christmas is Christmas Countdown Show podcast.
Oh my gosh. That is incredibly heartwarming, Eric. I couldn't agree more. Obviously, you know, it's last year, you and I were never in the same space together, as people know. And, you know, this year to be able to not only do this show again with you and to connect with, you know, even more members of the Christmas Countdown crew, but to be in this space, you know, and to continue to create this thing that you and I love so much, that was really just birthed out of a genuine love for this time of year, for it to be where it's at, and for us to be so fortunate to have made so many friends, you know, through this. You know, I was thinking the other day, I mentioned this to Emilio, is, you know, a lot of times you and I will get these reviews that say, you feel like you're just getting to listen to two best friends just sit around and talk to each other. And I said to Emilio, I was like, I don't know if I've ever thought about this, but is Eric now one of my best friends in the world? And
yeah, man.
And I said to Emilio, I was like, he is. Eric's one of my best friends.
Did we just become best friends?
You know it. High five.
High five through the Zoom.
Yeah, right. I just smashed my computer across the room. But, you know, the truth of the matter is, you know, Eric, you and I were friends when we started this show, but we hadn't spent a lot of time together. But I think we found very, very quickly how well we got along. And then through that, we just wanted to hang out with each other more, and we just kept hanging out and we kept talking, and, you know,
eventually we'll golf together, Danny.
Yeah, I mean, that's a certain level of best friend that we just haven't reached yet. But I'm confident that by season 3, we will have reached that best friend level. I intentionally asked for a lot of golf-related stuff for Christmas this year in hopes that if I got enough gift cards, I could just say, Eric, I'm paying for it. And then you would have no excuse anymore. But yeah, man, this show is just, it warms my heart and has made the last couple years of my life all the brighter, and it's helped me navigate some tough stuff. So I'm grateful for it. And I will say that as it pertains to our top 10, my 10 is pulled directly from things we talked about this season. So I may not have those same heartwarming things that you have, but it's going to be fun, and we're going to buckle up. So number 10 for me is a content page. You know, we did our top, favorite Christmas content pages that are out in the world. So for number 10 for me on my ultimate Christmas countdown is going to be Santa J. Claus. You know, I knew that I really liked Santa J. Claus before, you know, we had him on the show. I enjoyed his content. I thought it was funny. I thought it was heartwarming. And then we got to talk to him. We got to talk to Santa here on our show, and he's the real deal. You know, like, you can just tell that it is nothing but joy and kindness that emanates from this spirit, you know. And I think, as you and I have talked a lot about, you know, over the years, is that there's a lot of cynicism in the world, and it's really encouraging to see this person who is taking all this time and energy to create content that is nothing but love, is nothing but joy. And I just am so appreciative to know that an account like that as people are swiping through and maybe getting exposed to stuff that's not good for them to see or be exposed to, that they're stumbling upon Santa J. Claus, and he's telling them, "You're perfect just the way you are. I love you. You're great." I think it counteracts a lot of the negativity in the world. So I'm just grateful for people like him who pour their heart and soul out to make people feel seen and valued in the world. So that's why my number 10 is going to be Santa J. Claus.
Love that. Very strong. He may appear later on my list.
Ooh.
So I'm not going to say anything else.
No spoilies, right?
All right. My number 9 thing. This was a tradition that we talked about when we talked about top traditions around the world. And it was this tradition in Poland where nobody can start eating dinner until the first star in the sky is visible on Christmas Eve. I don't know if they do it on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, but either way, I was like, I just love that. I like that sense of like connecting to nature somehow before you do the more human-y stuff of like having a big dinner around a table. So that's my number 9 thing. I just thought I liked all of the traditions that we found out about, but I really loved that sense, and I may try to sort of incorporate that into my family. It's a little tricky here in LA because there's so much light pollution that you may never see a star, and then you're starving. So we'll have to see if we do that. But I thought that was such a cool tradition, cool idea, and that's my number 9 is the Polish tradition of not eating anything until the first star in the sky is visible.
And isn't another part of that setting an additional like place at the table with like a plate and all that in the event somebody is looking for a place to celebrate?
Stranger. Yeah, I think that was part of it too. Yeah.
So many aspects of that tradition were so cool, and they eat like the wafer, right? Wasn't there like a wafer involved as well? I feel like there was like a wafer and a star. I don't know. It was like a multi-layered tradition that I thought was so incredibly cool. So I couldn't agree more. So shout out to Poland with that one. Number 9 for me is going to be a gift idea. And, I was thinking about this, as I was putting my list together, and Erica, you and I have talked about it on the show and talked a lot about it in private, that I've struggled with sort of like talking about like commerce related to me, like on our podcast. 'Cause like, I just believe in like the spirit and like talking about other people. It's just easier for me to talk about other people. It's just like in general across the board. But, I realized that I'm very proud of what we've done with the Capables. I'm proud of the way that we are impacting the world. I'm proud of this community that we've built, and that these children and adults see themselves represented in our books, And so that's why I'm going to say the number 9 for me is a gift idea, which is our children's book, the first one in our inclusive children's book series, The Capables, and it's Ray's First Day. As I've shared before, this is the book that was inspired by my daughter Emerson, who was born with an upper limb difference. So if you're looking for a good gift this holiday season, I would encourage you to go out and buy a copy. You can get it anywhere you get books online, but if you reach out to us through our website, I'd be happy to sign, any books that anyone orders of Ray's First Day. And I really, really believe wholeheartedly in, us as parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, caregivers. We have this very real opportunity to expose our children or the kids in our lives to the fact that the world doesn't always look like them, that we are all different. And that's not only normal and okay, it's actually super. And so I think there's a unique opportunity we have to spread that message of empowerment to kids all around the world. So that's why I have it at number 9.
I love that. And, Danny, but you should never be too humble about what you're doing with the Capables, because it is amazing, not only for what the book series is doing for your daughter and for, Emerson and for other kids that are like her, but also the fact that you had an idea and you saw it through to completion. And I know the hours and hours and hours of work that you put in with the writing and getting the right illustrator and making sure that all the drawings are exactly right. And you've just done so much work with that, and you should be extremely proud, because I'm proud of you, buddy.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. My number 8 was a quote. I love that we did the movie quotes, like quotes from movies. There were so many good ones, but the one that I have at number 8, and I don't remember if this was my number 1, but I think it was pretty high up, but I'm putting it at number 8 on this list. And it is the quote from the end of Polar Express when the lead narrator, Tom Hanks, says, "At one time, most of my friends could hear the bell, but as years passed, it fell silent for all of them. Even Sarah found one Christmas that she could no longer hear its sweet sound. Though I've grown old, the bell still rings for me, as it does for all who truly believe." And I just love that quote, and like rethinking about it, I just love it. We watched Polar Express a couple nights ago, and it just is such a great movie. There's something about the kind of quietness of the movie or something. It has loud parts and exciting parts when the train's sliding all over the ice, and but there's a lot of quieter moments in it. And we sort of put it on because my mom was trying to fall asleep on the couch where she was sleeping when we were at this big family party. But I was like, but it's such a great film, and it's while some people get weird about the animation of the humans because it was early on in CGI,
Right.
I just think that the sentiment of the film is so good and so timeless. And so that's my number 8 thing for the ultimate Christmas list, is that quote from the end of Polar Express.
Oh man, it's so good. Yeah, I think that movie, it keeps growing on me. I enjoyed it when it first came out, but I think, as you get older, and it makes you sort of reflect on yourself, and where you're at in your individual journey as it pertains to Christmas spirit. I think to be reminded of the way we felt as kids, when we first believed in anything, whatever you believe, yourself, Santa Claus, whatever it might be. I think it's a great reminder to us to see this season through children's eyes and see the faith and joy that they exude at this time of year. I think it's very real and very powerful. All right, so number 8 for me is going to be an album. We talked about our top 10 favorite Christmas albums. That was our first 2 episodes of this season were our albums. And for me, this is one that from the moment I first heard it, I was just immediately in love. Prior to hearing this album, I would say a lot like, when was the last time we had like a great Christmas album, like a classic album release that is just going to be around forever and you can listen from top to bottom without skipping a track. And that for me is The Piano Man at Christmas by Jamie Cullum. And then we were so fortunate that the next year he dropped a deluxe edition, or the complete edition as he called it, that gave us even more Jamie Cullum Christmas music. He's an artist that, as I've talked about on the show, I've enjoyed since 2005, I think, was the first time I heard one of his tracks. And I think he's so creative and, again,
timeless.
He really encapsulates, and I wanted to talk to Lisa Loeb about this when she was on earlier, is that her song Light, it feels like it nods to a lot of traditional sounds that you might hear in like Hanukkah songs or Jewish culture songs, while also staying true to her style. Like it really balanced those. And I feel the same way about Jamie Cullum's music. It's current, it's fresh, it's a slapper, it's a yeet bop banger, but it also still has that classic jazzy feel to it, which I know is not easy to balance. And so that's why I'm gonna put it at number 8 on my ultimate Christmas list.
I love that. And I agree. It's so good. You've really turned me on to Jamie Cullum, and now I'm a super fan. All right. My number 7 is also music, and it is a song that I just was like, man, that I'm an enormous Frank Sinatra fan. And it's not that this song is new to me in any way, but I just was like, I really love this song so much. And it's the Frank Sinatra version of Jingle Bells. I loved our Jingle Bells countdown. It was maybe one of my favorite countdowns that we did this season, because it forced me to sort of go down this rabbit hole of Jingle Bell versions, which I thoroughly enjoyed. But I'm going to say at number 7 for me is the Frank Sinatra, I got those Jingle bells. I just love the whole thing. So that's number 7, is Frank Sinatra's version of Jingle Bells.
Oh, it's a great one. I love that we did that countdown, because as you were sharing, like all of a sudden you're discovering this song that you're so familiar with. And maybe it's one of those ones that if it comes up on a playlist, you might skip it because you're like, Jingle Bells, I've heard Jingle Bells a million times, but then we got to discover all these new versions that I know you and I had never heard before, along with the classics that really have left this indelible mark on our lives. I'm so glad that Frank is represented on our list through that. Number 7 for me is going to be a smell. You know, we recently did our top 5 sounds and our top 5 smells of the season episode, which again, this has been so fun this season to really start thinking outside of the Christmas box, as it were, in terms of like themes that we can explore. And when you think of Christmas, it's a 360 experience. It's sights, it smells, it sounds. And so for me, at number 7, it's a smell, and that is the smell of a fresh Christmas tree or a wreath. It's so specific to this time of year. Like, never am I walking around in the spring and go, oh, it smells like Christmas trees. Like that never happens. It's just this time of year. And it feels like there's like a window of time. And I don't know if you and I have uncovered what the reason is, but like, it's like all of a sudden your tree or your wreath just starts like emitting this smell that when you walk by it or the door closes and the wreath sort of swings by you, you've got this pocket of this most delicious smell that not only smells good now, but immediately sends this rush of feelings and visions and memories through your head of Christmas past, of like going to a family member's house, or the tree that you had up in your living room as a kid, or the one that you put on the subway car and rode from Union Square all the way up to, you know, Upper Manhattan. It just like, it immediately, all these moments flash in front of your eyes. So that's why, for me, that smell is just something that is so iconic and beloved at this time of year.
I agree completely. And it's a nice segue to my number 6, which is also a smell. My number 6 was the smell of a campfire / leaves burning / cold. And I really got to experience that while I was in Chicago this past week. And it really, as I smelled it when I got out of a car at my uncle's house, I was like, it made me think of our episode of Smells, because it just was like that cold, like bit my nose, where it was like, oh gosh, it's so cold. And then the smell of somebody doing a campfire in their backyard just like wafted over me. And I was like, man, this is the Midwest. This is the good stuff, man. This is so good. So it just made me so happy. And there is something about that. It's all of it combined. It's not just the smell of campfire, which I like. And it's not just the smell of leaves burning, which I like, or the smell of cold. It's all of it together. That sense of like, ooh, man, people are home. They're doing things in their backyards. Yeah. They're spending time together. You can like feel that in the smell somehow. So that was my number 6 is fire leaves burning smell.
So delicious. I mean, I'm telling you, tonight I'm going to go home and I'm going to walk out into my backyard and I'm going to pray for once that my neighbors are having a party in their backyard and the fire is crackling, because I just love that smell. All right, so number 6 for me, which is going to get us halfway, you know, through this countdown. It only took us like 3 hours to get there. I knew we would get halfway at some point. All right, so number 6 for me, you know, we did our top decorations this season, and we had Jonathan Bennett, you know, from Hallmark Channel, who joined us and shared, you know, his really, really fun decorations that he loves. And if you missed that episode or you didn't catch the video, there's a great video of Jonathan talking about his top 5 favorite Christmas decorations that I know is up on our Instagram right now. So definitely check that out. For me, at number 6, I'm going to put something that just like, the more I thought about it, I was like, gosh, these items and the memories tied to them mean so much to me. And that is our family ornaments. You know, it's, you know, you get one tree, right? You know, in a lot of cases, you know, maybe you get 2 or 3, whatever. You get, you know, one wreath. You know, there's these items that are like one, and they're sort of like, sometimes they're disposable, where you have the tree for that season, it goes away. You have the wreath for that season, it goes away. But your ornaments, it's something that keeps growing over time. And every single one is tied to a version of yourself that you were that year. The year you were obsessed with The Office. The year they finally released your favorite, you know, football player in an ornament. Like, there's just so many things. Like, it's a trip back through your life. In a way, every year when you pull out those ornaments. And then if you're so fortunate, like I have been, to have your family grow, to now watch your children starting their own collection that, God, you know, that 30 years from now, they'll do the same thing. It's really, really cool. It's really, really cool. You know, we started this year. I'm so glad that we had this thought. We were at the Hallmark store with my family, and you know how they have like those like number, 17 in the series or whatever it is, where it's like the 17th one. And I was like, are there any first in the series here? Because Riley's 1 right now. I was like, how cool would it be if we got her the first in the series, and then every year when she's 2, she gets the second, 3, she gets the third.
I love that. Yeah.
And someday she'll have, when she goes out, she'll have like 20 years of this series. It's just so cool. So I don't think I realized how much those decorations, those ornaments meant to me until I sat down and thought about it, and then saw the same tradition starting with my kids this year. So number 6 for me is going to be our family ornaments that we've collected through the years.
I love that, man. You know, it's I have a funny story. My mother-in-law, I think she was telling me when we were down in Florida that Lisa's older brother, Trey, that he like didn't have a first ornament from like the year he was born. And so she recently just ordered a like baby's first Christmas from like 1978 and put it on the tree so that he could now from this point forward have a baby's first
Oh, that's
Christmas.
great. I love that.
Which is kind of funny. All right, so we're to the top 5 here, folks. My number 5 is going to be, and this could easily be number 1. Really, from this point forward, they could all be number 1. It's going to be the sound of Silent Night being sung a cappella on a Christmas Eve church service. We talked all about this just a few weeks ago. It's just, the song of Silent Night means so much to me. The feeling of a service of a group of people sort of like doing this every single year. It's always the same tradition. At some point they're going to turn off the organ and it's just a cappella. It's the candlelight. It's that whole feeling of like, if you had to boil down Christmas into 1 or 2 moments, that would definitely be one of the top ones. So my number 5 is the sound of Silent Night being sung a cappella in a Christmas Eve mass.
Oh, it's the best. And we're only a couple days away from it, which is
I know
really exciting. Yeah. I was actually thinking about that the other day because I was listening back, I think, to our Sounds episode, and, it made me immediately go to that sound and that feeling of what it's like standing in that space. And I feel like that has the ability to immediately get you into that mindset leading up to Christmas, and you get to enjoy even more days with that feeling of, peace and joy in your heart. So would encourage people to do the same. So number 5 for me is going to be, I think this was early on in our season, we did our top ways to prepare for the holiday season. And this is one that has become increasingly more and more impactful for me over the years. It's something I take a lot of pride in. And that's hanging your lights early. I think there's this ongoing debate over like, you got to wait until the day after Thanksgiving, or, you got to wait until December 1st. We've talked to so many people, you and I, Eric, on the show of like, oh, I like to wait until this day. And, there's never been a day where I think, oh, I got these up too early. But when Christmas comes
right,
and it's time to start taking them down, I always have the feeling of, oh, my Christmas lights aren't going to be up anymore. So why not put them up a week earlier, and enjoy them that much more. And, there's a practical element to it as well, is if you get them up early and you realize you got a string of lights out, or maybe a decoration isn't working like it used to. Like this year, for some reason, my light up gifts just stopped working. Well, now I'm like, now I got a reason to go to Lowe's and get some new decorations because I got to replace these ones that aren't working anymore. So it not only starts the spirit of the season, but it's practical. And honestly, I take a lot of pride in being a corner house that everyone drives by at night that sees this really great lit up display, but furthermore, hopefully encouraging my neighbors around me to get into the spirit of the season a little bit earlier. And when I see them all one by one starting to put their lights up, I take a lot of pride in seeing our neighborhood, come alive for the holiday season.
I love that. I love that. One of the things that I almost shared in memes and things, but I'll share it right now because it's apropos. It says, somebody made this little post and it says, before you roll your eyes or judge the early Christmas decorators, let me tell you how dangerous the dark months can be to those with rocky mental health. Let them bring more light. Let them do what they need to do to feel something. Let them be in the here and now, seizing the moment, doing no harm to anyone. They are quite simply lighting up their darkness and creating joy where none exists. How wonderful, from Donna Ashworth.
Oh,
And it's so true
yeah.
because it's like, what does these Grinches out there, these Scrooges who get so frustrated with people like us who listen to music early and decorate early and just want to relish in the season as much as we can? Are we hurting anybody? Are we harming? Are we putting any negativity into the world? No, we're just trying to be happy with our families and our communities and the people around us. So, I know that I'm preaching to the choir right now, but literally we're doing good for the world. So
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more, my friend. All right, it's number 4, right, for you?
Yeah, number 4 for me. All right, this one I'm sort of slamming like 4 things into one, but they're all the same vibe, and it's going to be 4 songs that I was sort of unaware of before that I just now I love so much, and we won't listen to all of them, but there's the song "The Magic of Christmas" by Willow City. That's one that you definitely have to listen to. There's "More the Merrier" by Sarah Reeves. Just loved that one, and her whole album. And they're playing that song actually on Hallmark Radio a lot, which is cool. So that's good. The song "This Christmas" by Oh Wonder, very kind of soft indie kind of vibe. Okay. I talked about all these in our music episode, but these ones really stuck with me. And then the song "Believe" by Cam. I just thought that. Oh, and one more. The song "25th" by Tori Kelly.
Right.
I got 5 in there.
Eric, did you just see in the
those
chat?
are all songs.
Eric, you got to look in the chat. Somebody was like, "I'm going to slam 4 into 1 equals." I want to know what the rest of that comment was.
Somebody said, "I'm slamming 4 of these into one." Eric's theme of the season. Very true. Very true.
It's so true. But that's why people love us, is like we treat it every time it happens. We treat it like it's the first time we've ever done it.
The first time I've ever done this. Yeah. But yeah, all those songs I just like really connected with. And we have done a lot of music countdowns on the show because I think we really love music and we like Christmas music and it's a great conversation piece. But because of that and making these lists each year, I've really kind of done a lot of deep diving into the Spotify, crypts or, the depths of Spotify to find like all these new Christmas songs. And those were 5 of the ones that I really loved so much this season. So that's my number 4 is sort of new music and especially highlighting those 5 songs.
Oh, so good. I also love that you said I've got 4 in 1, but then 4 in 1 became 5. No, I love it. All right. So number 4 for me, I'm going with I think this is my first sound on this list. And we just talked about this recently. We just did our, sounds and smells episodes a couple weeks ago. And, I've been thinking a lot about this sound ever since we talked about it on the show. And I even got a little, sort of like preview of it the other night because my family all got together, as we shared earlier, for the first night of Hanukkah. We also had all gone and looked at Christmas lights earlier that evening, and we were also celebrating my sister's birthday. And I found myself at one moment standing out in the living room, but like hearing all of my family in the kitchen just talking and laughing. And so for me, number 4 is a sound, and it's the buzz of the house when family is all together. It's not like any one sound in particular. It's just this amalgamation of stories being shared, memories being recalled, cousins laughing and running around together for the first time or the 10th time or whatever it is. There's just this sound of joy in the air. And, frankly speaking, it's something that we haven't been able to really experience in the way that I think we're getting to experience this year.
Yeah.
We're experiencing it again for the
first
time. And I'd forgotten what it made me feel. And it's really, really cool to be in that space and just to hear this sound that simply just means joy and love to me. So that's why I'm going to put number 4, the buzz of the house, when family is all together at the holidays.
I love that. I agree completely. And in a way, my next selection is sort of an offshoot of that, if you will.
Okay.
At least from my perspective. And my number 3 is not necessarily something that was in any of our countdown lists this season, but you've talked about it, that you do it at your church where you lead a big group of people singing the 12 Days of Christmas, right? So this past weekend when I was in Chicago and with my whole extended family, we sang 12 Days of Christmas, and I was sort of the ringleader of pointing to who was up next and everything. And we, out of the whole experience of this weekend, that was maybe my favorite moment. It was just everybody was in the same room. It had that buzz of, everybody together in the sort of minutia, and I loved when we did it. Each group had its own kind of, some people were really silly. Some people tried to sound really pretty. Some people tried to not sound pretty. My daughter was with 2 of my uncles, and they were 2 turtle doves. And each time it got to them, they did it in a different language, which was very funny. So my number 3 thing is going to be singing the 12 Days of Christmas with a big group of people is just so fun. It's like everybody knows it. There's no pressure. It's just like a fun, silly thing. And I just loved it so much. It was like sort of instantly became a core memory in regards to the holidays for me. I think my wife posted a little video of us doing it, but I'll post it on our site as well. But Miles was 12 drummers drumming, and he was all by himself. And I just loved that when it got to him, he was like perfectly in pitch and was like 12 drummers drumming. It was perfect, so it was just a great experience and really warmed my heart this season. So that's why I put it at number 3, singing 12 Days of Christmas with a big group of people.
So great. Love that so much. Yeah. I was bummed that I missed that this year, unfortunately, but I missed it for a good reason, the sing along at my church, because that was when Emmy had her first ever, Christmas recital this year. So if I was going to miss it for anything in the world, it would that would be what I would choose. Yeah. So number 3 for me, I'm going to go with another sound. And that's going to be one that you brought up earlier in this episode, which is the sound of the congregation singing Silent Night at the midnight service. There is just there's a stillness in the air. There's a collective energy in the air. I know you've talked about this a lot, throughout 2 seasons of our show, and you brought it up with Lisa Loeb earlier about how, like, at the holiday season, everything sort of like slows down. Everyone gets a little bit more quiet. And I think now more than ever, just because there's so much noise in the world, all the time, I think us being mindful of those opportunities that we have to actually slow down, to give ourselves a break, to give ourselves the chance to breathe and to be present in the moment and to be with those that we love most and hold most dear, I think is one of the best gifts we can not only give to ourselves, but to those that we do love most dear. So for me, that moment where I just feel like the peace of the season wash over me is that Christmas Eve service when the congregation's singing Silent Night. It's dark, it's calm, it's this shared sort of prayer and meditation with people, which is really, really special. So that's my number 3.
Love it. All right, my number 2 is a song that I didn't put in my other list of 5 songs into one because it deserved its own special spot. And because it's another new song that I had not heard before this season. But I do, Chris, if you don't mind playing a little bit of the song I Don't Want Christmas to End by Zach Williams. I just loved this song. And let's listen to a little snippet of it right now.
Take those lights down off the tree, back up the stockings to pull down the wreath. I don't want Christmas to end. We can leave the wrapping paper scattered on the floor, let the fire crack
It's so good. I mean, it's just worth a listen. You know, if you need to pause our podcast and go listen to that whole song, it just is great. I see some people in our in our audience are getting a little emotional because it's it's a great song, and I think it's a sentiment that we all feel, especially as we do get super close to the technical end of the season. And I guess the only thing I would say is, as we've mentioned quite a few times, especially this season, the more that we can sort of push this Christmas spirit into the rest of the year and not have it just fall in this, 1 or 2 months. And that's sort of the sentiment of the song, is like, I don't want this to end, this feeling of like quiet and like being with family and laughter. And, that's what's so great about the season. And, it is, it's sad when it's ending, and, we're getting close to that point. So I just thought that song in particular just really spoke to me, and I just agreed with it so much, and I had never heard it before. So that's my number 2, is I Just Don't Want Christmas to End by Zach Williams.
Yeah. Oh man, that one got me for sure. Just like the descriptive elements of that song, and just the moments that, thinking about packing up the tree and all those sorts of things. I was like, yeah, I feel that. I know that feeling all too well, and I think the beauty, of us in this moment right now is, as we're recording this, we still have 5 days until Christmas Day. And there is this magical gift that I think we are given, that a lot of times we joke about, like the 26th through like New Year's Eve. What do? Like it's just sort of this void, but it almost feels like that's one of the gifts that Christmas gives us, is this week of nothing. So I would encourage everyone to take advantage. If you are, one of those people whose industry shuts down, or you take a week off from work, or whatever it is Christmas gives you a gift every year, and it's the gift of time. So take advantage of it.
It's like fill that nothing with nothing, in a good way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you don't need to, say, oh, well, now we got some time that we can run that errand that we needed to do, or like try to just really slow down. And in those, 4 or 5 days after Christmas, before New Year's, like just do nothing with the people that you love. Yeah. And that's the good stuff of life.
I agree. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. All right. So the next 2 are going to be a little, can't even say it, a little emotional for me. So
surprise,
friends, but it's the last episode of the season and we're 3 hours in. So anyone who's made it this far is perfectly okay with this aspect of what we do. So number 2 for me is going to be, it was our last episode. We talked about our top 5 family Christmas memories. And, number 1 for me on that list, and number 2 on my ultimate top 10 Christmas list is the year that we asked Santa. I rehearsed this in the car on the way over here, because I was like, if I just say it now and I let it all come now, then when I get there, it won't happen anymore. I'll be good, But
you're good.
But the year that we asked Santa for a baby, man, and then the connective sort of completion of that circle of the year that we got to go back with Emerson and sit there with that same Santa in that same space again. It's part of just the miraculous nature of life. And I think sometimes Christmas has this ability to help us to believe in the miraculous again. Something that so often is just sort of conditioned out of us as we get older, whether we realize it or not. That's why that line in Polar Express is so great, because like eventually, his sister stops hearing the bell, and it's not something that happens like that. It's something that slowly and gradually happens over time. And I think if we're open to it, if we look around us, we can see miraculous things happening around us every day. And maybe that's why Christmas is so great, is that it does make us slow down. And maybe one of the secrets of Christmas and the spirit of Christmas that we can carry with us year round is that, like, if you just take a moment to just breathe and look around, there are miracles happening around us every single day. And that's why that moment of thinking about asking for this thing that seemed so impossible for us happening. It's like, it's something I hold on to in times where I'm like, gosh, is this possible? Whatever it might be in life. And so it has to be number 2. And hopefully through that, it would encourage, I'll just speak directly to anyone out there right now who has been battling with their own journey to have kids. I know it's hard. I've been there. But there is a light, and it's your light. Whatever that your story is going to be, there's a light at the end of that tunnel, and it is so much brighter and it is so much more beautiful than you can ever write it to be. Just embrace your story, embrace your journey, and what it is meant to be will unfold for you in your life. But keep believing, keep having faith, believe in the miraculous, because we are proof that it can happen. So anyway.
Amen. Good stuff there. Good stuff. All right, Danny, we're to number 1. This is the last one of this season. Don't worry, everybody. We'll be back for season 3, but this is gonna sort of be the wind down time of season 2. My number 1 ultimate Christmas list is, I'll say what it is, and then it's sort of like what it makes me feel. And it was the list that we did of making new reindeer names.
Mm-hmm.
Was such a fun thing that I got to do with Miles, and all of you who listened to that episode got to meet Miles, which is awesome. And, you know, the coming up with those names was so great. The way that Chris was able to turn, you know, Miles's sweet little voice into like the song of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and like, you know, Vicano and Saint Vikinglas were my 2 favorites, you know.
Yeah.
And that whole experience of like bringing Miles to the set, and like he was there that whole day, and then he got to talk to Santa, and he just like loved it. And, you know, my daughter, who's 12, I love her so much. And, you know, it is this interesting thing about 2 kids that like the first child just has sort of more solo time with parents because the other kid's not there yet. And then when the second kid comes in, it's, you know, tricky to find those individual times that are just about them and not about, you know, the kids as a collective. And, you know, this past year, I feel like me and Miles have just really gotten a lot of that time of just him and me, you know, whether it's the drives to school or, you know, coming home from karate or whatever. And he, you know, I just am so proud of him. Like as a person, he had a really hard first grade year, and he's at a new school, and he's just so happy. And, you know, he has just blossomed as a person so much in this past year. And, you know, that whole day of recording with him and seeing him talk to Santa, and like being so proud of the reason that we chose all of those, different reindeer names, and the experience of doing that, of laying in bed and be like, oh, well, what if we do this? And it just was so good. So, you know, while that memory is sort of somewhat specific to Miles, it's, you know, it's, I guess what my number 1 thing would be is the little things. You know, that's what I love most about Christmas, is those little tiny moments that aren't necessarily like, all right, now everybody's opening presents or we're having a big meal. It's like the little in between moments where you have real connection with the people that matter to you. So that's my number 1 is Vicano and Saint Vikinglas.
Oh man. Yeah. I got to say, I know I talked about it when we recorded that episode, but just sitting here and having like a front row seat for you and your son, like creating this incredible memory together, man, was just, it was a privilege. It really, really was, you know, like it was just, it's just those moments, like you said, it's the little moments where like all of a sudden you just stop in your tracks and you go, whoa, look at what's happening around me right now. You know, like we're just so wired these days to be like, what's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? You know? And then you just open your eyes and you look and you go, God, look at this beautiful moment happening right in front of me right now. It's incredible. And that's what this show, I think it's one of the greatest gifts of this show, man, is slowing down.
It forces us to think about those things.
100%. And that really connects to my number one. And before I do that, I just want to say that, this obviously is the last like official countdown episode of the season, but we are going to do an unwrapped episode, as it were, where Eric and I will get back together and we'll talk about how our Christmases were and sort of rehash, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day and getting together with family and gifts and all that sort of fun stuff. And Eric and I actually have gifts for each other that we're going to present to each other here in studio together. So make sure, you come back, in between Christmas and New Year's for that episode, which will be really, really fun. And if you've made it this far and you're not following us on social media, which just sounds impossible to me, please make sure you do so. We are at Christmas Countdown Show on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and at Xmas Pod on Twitter. Please come hang out with us. It's a good place to be with really good people who have good hearts. And we'd love for you to be a part of that community as well. Okay. So, for me, I don't know why I'm unlocking my phone. I already know what it is. I think it's my way of just like delaying the inevitable here. There was a moment you and I were sitting here early on. I think it was our third episode, and we were talking about top destinations for the holidays. And there was this shift that I felt happen in myself as you and I were sitting here talking about like where we want to go. And it was like I made this active decision in myself that rather than, if you're in the entertainment industry, as Eric knows, and anyone else who's out there, and I think all of us are guilty of it to a certain extent, is like you're constantly thinking about where you're going next and the next step you're going to take in your career and the next great adventure you're going to have and the people that you're going to meet and the trip you're going to go on and all these sorts of things where it's like, what's next? What's next? What's next? And where do I want to go that I haven't been? And sometimes you forget how incredible where you're at is. And as you and I were talking in that episode, I realized how my favorite destination to celebrate the holidays is no longer some dreamed up place that I want to go. It's where I already am. And it just like, I remember sitting here looking at you and I was listening to you talk and I was just like, something in my heart just like changed. And that's why number one for me in that moment and number one for me in this moment is to be at home with the people I love most. And that definition of home has grown so much. Home is at home with my wife and my kids and my folks and my siblings. But home is also here. Like home is this community that has grown out of this thing. And to sit here and to look at these faces who are a part of the Christmas Countdown crew and to go on our Facebook and to see the way that people rally around each other. I think this show, in a sense, has become home for a lot of people.
It's a sense of hope, I think.
Yeah.
It's a sense of positivity, and I mean, we can't really say it enough times that, the world is hard right now. It's a hard world and there's a lot of hard, bad stuff in it. And, when you can find people that don't have a cynicism towards life and joy and happiness and being silly and like, for years before the internet, I think people were in general happier people, but now because of the internet and all the good that comes with it, there's also the frustration and the way that it has made our world so angsty and so, cynical really. And, I think you're right, Danny. I think that we have, and because it happened so organically and not forced, we've found that I think, helped foster a little foundational home for people that are good people. They're just good people, you know, and it's nice to, you know, I'm saying this as I'm looking at all of your faces that are here with us recording right now. And you guys, you know, you fill our hearts so much, as you can tell by these two grown men just weeping over here. But you know, we love that you guys have all connected to each other, and that you guys talk and you know, ask questions and celebrate the holidays. And you know, it is such a beautiful thing that we have sort of made for ourselves. And I say that we being all of us included, you know, and any of you that are listening now, and maybe those of you that have been listening for this whole season, or even as far back as season 1, you know, I think what Danny and I would want to say is just keep going, keep the positivity, keep living in this kind of world, because you know it in your heart that this is the way to be in the world, you know. And everybody can think different things and believe different things, but goodness is real. And you know, you can just feel in your heart when people have good intentions for themselves and for the and I and all of you, that we have created a nice safe place for goodness in the world, and that we should continue to search for that and try to get it into our lives and our families' lives and our communities' lives as much as we can. And that's all that we can really do in the world, you know, is try to put a little more positivity into it than negativity is there.
I couldn't agree more. Eric, you and I did the exact same thing. Do you remember we were recording the finale episode season 1, and we just kept going?
Yeah.
And we just kept going until we were like, I guess it's just time.
But I guess it is. So that is going to wrap it up, folks. That's the end of Christmas Countdown Show season 2. But as Danny said, there will be a mini post-Christmas episode, but the sort of lead up to the season. I just want to say again, a huge thank you to Chris Sisley for everything that he's done for the podcast and the editing and the games and just the support. To Emilio, thank you so much, Emilio. You've done a ton of work for this show and lots of social media content that is spectacular. To all of our friends here that are here today that stayed with us for like 4 hours in the Christmas Countdown crew, we love you guys so much. We hope that you have a spectacularly Merry Christmas with whoever you're going to celebrate it with. We love you guys. Make sure you come back for season 3. We will do it again, I promise. And to Danny, I love you, man. This has been a great season. I think we've taken a big step forward with it. So, I think
Eric,
you want to say something?
Eric,
Right,
I have one thing to say. Well, it's actually not necessarily heartfelt. It's more, do we want to tease what might be coming?
No, not yet.
Next year?
Not yet.
No? You're not ready to tease it?
Not
All right.
See, that's a tease right there. Now everybody wants to know more.
All right. That's what we call in the biz a super tease.
A super tease. I like that.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, everything Eric said, 100%. This has been a really powerful experience to be a part of this show, and I'm just so grateful for all of you. Obviously, our Christmas Countdown crew, the Patreon family, but I know there are thousands of people out there who listen to our show religiously and come back and listen. So just know that even if you're not a part of the Patreon, like, we appreciate you so much, and the reviews you've left, the DMs, you know, the personal messages you've shared with us. Oh my gosh. It warms our hearts, and that's what keeps us going. Honestly, you know, it makes us want to keep doing the show and keep doing it better and better every single time. So anyway, I'm just going to stop talking, because otherwise I'll just keep talking.
All right, folks. This is where we will leave you, but we hope that you will all have a great holiday season. We love all of you. May you and your families be safe and healthy and happy. We'll be praying for that. And as we end every episode of the Christmas Countdown Show, one final time here for season 2, we're going to finish by saying Merry Christmas
and Happy Holidays.
We love you all. Bye-bye, everybody. Merry Christmas. Have a good season. We love you.
Love you.
Bye.